and welcome back to Your Autism Game Plan. I'm Joya Vanderlaan, a family nurse practitioner, a functional medicine specialist, and an autism mom. Today I want to discuss stimming. Many of us experience stimming in our children, whether that be hand flapping or head banging or rocking of some sort. Those are kind of the typical things we think about when we read about stimming, but it can really be anything from maybe they're biting on their lips or they're humming or they're clapping or they're touching hair in our daughter's case. Many of us stim. Do you ever tap your foot up and down as you're trying to get work done at a desk? Do you ever chew on the inside of your lip or your cheek? Those can be forms of stimming as well. All stimming is not necessarily harmful or bad, but it is nice to notice because especially if it's maladaptive or intrusive in our child's life or in our life, it's nice to notice so that we can do something to help them, maybe substitute that stimming behavior for a more acceptable one or a less harmful stimming behavior. So let's talk about a few things regarding stimming. If your child has a stimming behavior that is either inappropriate, especially in public, or that's harmful or destructive, you may want to find alternatives and let them do something different. Sometimes this can take a lot of trial and error. Unfortunately, there's not one thing I can tell you, substitute this for this. You know, in our case, we're still sometimes searching for alternatives. To give you an example, our daughter is and was especially obsessed with hair. We would go to the grocery store and the bank and church and school, and all she would want to do is touch people's hair. So we tried to find so many substitutes. Those dolls with the hair that you can do, the little mannequin dolls. We tried those koosh balls that have rubbery hairs on them. We tried all sorts of hair-like substitutes. Nothing would do. She really prefers human hair on the human's head. So we still are looking for one. But in terms of the head banging maybe or the arm flapping, are there alternatives that would satisfy their craving to move or for that sensory stimulation, that sensory input that are maybe more acceptable either in public or at home? In functional medicine and integrative medicine or the biomedical approach, we often look for root causes. There may not always be a root cause to your son or your daughter's stimming, but it's good to know to look for in case maybe there could be a cause that we can resolve and help them with the stimming behavior. So a few of the underlying causes for stimming can be GI issues, so constipation or this overgrowth or dysbiosis in the gut. It could be seizures, could be food allergies or sensitivities. Sometimes low cholesterol levels can cause stimming in kids. Certainly magnesium or zinc deficiencies can cause stimming in children. Look at my videos on magnesium and zinc to learn more. Sometimes elevated glutamate or ammonia levels, and this will often go along with, especially the ammonia levels, with some kind of liver disease. And very often retained primitive reflexes are an issue that can make kids want to stim more. This would be something to look into, particularly with a specially trained occupational therapist. So if those are some of the causes for stimming in our kids, then some of the solutions can follow pretty naturally. For instance, if there's dysbiosis in the gut, you want to do some working on rebalancing the gut. If it's a liver issue or a neurotransmitter issue, like maybe the glutamate is high, you want to kind of look into that a little bit further with a trained professional. That gets a little bit beyond me just telling you what to do here. That can get a little complex. Other things you might be able to do include putting them on a sensory diet to provide them with that sensory stimulation on a regular basis. And maybe it's helpful to determine when they stim. Is it when they're happy or hungry or nervous or tired? Those problems then can be directly addressed. It might also be helpful to explain to your child how their stimming affects other people or how other people react when they see them stimming. Now, this will really depend on your child's capacity for understanding others' perspective, but it is worth a try. Sometimes it's helpful to get a neurologist's consultation, especially if your primary care provider suspects something concerning neurologically sometimes testing for food sensitivities or allergies, even mineral deficiencies, can be really helpful. And then you can also consider testing cholesterol levels. A lot of our kids with autism do have low cholesterol levels. And then finally, you can have an occupational therapist look over your child and see, are there any retained primitive reflexes that your child still has not integrated, causing them maybe to do some of these stimming behaviors. So this was just a little bit of information kind of touching the surface of stimming in our children with autism. This can be an overwhelming journey to learn about all this stuff for our kids. And my hope is that I can ease some of that overwhelm and frustration and helplessness by providing you with some new and helpful information. As always, please let me know if there are other topics you're interested in hearing about for these videos. And remember, be gentle with yourself. You're doing a great job.